The wind howled like a banshee, tearing at the eaves of the dilapidated lighthouse. Inside, Silas, weathered and worn like driftwood, sat hunched over a table, the flickering lamplight painting deep shadows on his craggy face. He was meticulously sketching, his hand steady despite the tremors that ran through his ancient bones. The drawing, a portrait of a woman with eyes like the summer sky and a smile that could melt glaciers, was nearly complete. A lifetime of stories danced in Silas' eyes, each wrinkle a testament to a tale whispered by the sea. The woman in the portrait, Amelia, had been his everything. They had met in this very lighthouse, her laughter echoing through its hollow halls, filling Silas' life with a joy he never thought possible. They had planned a life together, a future woven with dreams of children and grandchildren, of watching sunsets from the porch of a small cottage by the sea. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, the old woman spoke of a hidden waterfall, a place of immense power and healing. It lay deep within the heart of the forest, guarded by ancient magic, and accessible only to those who sought it with a pure heart. Elara, drawn by the mystery and the promise of healing, felt a spark of hope ignite within her. She yearned to find this place, to bathe in its power, and perhaps find peace. The old woman, her eyes twinkling with understanding, agreed to guide her. Their journey took them through sun-dappled glades and shadowed paths, the forest unfolding around them like a living, breathing entity. The old woman, seemingly frail, moved with surprising agility, her steps sure, steady. Finally, they reached a clearing bathed in an ethereal glow. The air vibrated with a palpable energy, and the roar of water filled their ears. Before them, cascading down a moss-covered cliff face, was the waterfall, its waters crashing into a crystal-clear pool below. Elara, overwhelmed by the beauty and raw power of the place, felt tears stream down her face. It was as if the waterfall itself wept with her, echoing the grief she had held within for so long. She spent hours by the pool, lost in contemplation. She thought of her brother, his laughter echoing in her ears, and of her grandmother, her gentle wisdom a guiding light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, she felt a sense of peace wash over her, a quiet acceptance settling in her heart. Returning to the cabin, Elara felt transformed. The grief was still there, but it no longer held her captive. She felt lighter, her spirit rekindled by the power of the waterfall and the wisdom of the old woman. The next morning, as the first rays of dawn kissed the mountain peaks, Elara knew it was time for her to leave. She had found what she sought, a piece of herself she thought was lost forever. Standing before the old woman, her heart overflowing with gratitude, she whispered, "Thank you." But fate, a cruel mistress, had other plans. A storm, sudden and ferocious, had swept Amelia away, leaving Silas with nothing but a gaping hole in his heart and a portrait that was to become his only solace. Every line, every curve was etched not just on paper, but on his soul. The old woman smiled, her eyes reflecting the wisdom of 100 years. "The stories, child," she said, "they live within us all. It is up to us to find the courage to listen." Elara, her knapsack now filled with newfound strength and hope, turned and walked towards the rising sun, her own story just beginning to unfold. She knew, with a certainty that resonated deep within her soul, that the echoes of the old woman's wisdom and the spirit of the waterfall would forever guide her path. And as she walked, she realized that she too carried within her a story waiting to be told, a story of loss and love, of grief and healing. A story that would one day become part of the tapestry of the land, whispered on the wind for generations to come. He had dedicated his life to keeping the light burning, a beacon for lost souls, a promise to Amelia that he would never let the darkness consume him. Each night, as he meticulously polished the giant lens, he would tell Amelia about his day, sharing trivial tales of the seabirds and the changing tides, whispering secrets only the two of them. Tonight, however, was different. A storm raged outside, mirroring the tempest in Silas's heart. It was the anniversary of Amelia's disappearance, and the grief, though muted by time, still clawed at him. Tears welled in his eyes, blurring his vision as he stared at the portrait. Suddenly, a crash from below startled him. Someone was knocking desperately at the lighthouse door. Silas, hesitant but compelled by a glimmer of hope he couldn't explain, made his way down the winding staircase. He cautiously opened the door, bracing himself against the wind. Standing there, drenched and shivering, was a young woman, her eyes wide with fear, were the color of the summer sky. Her smile, despite the terror etched on her face, could melt glaciers. She looked so much like Amelia, it took Silas' breath away. "I saw the light," she gasped. I need help." Silas, his heart pounding in his chest, stepped back, inviting her in. As she crossed the threshold, a strange calm washed over him. He realized that life, in its mysterious ways, had offered him a chance to keep his promise to Amelia. He would not let the darkness consume him. Not tonight, not ever. He would keep the light burning, for her, for the young woman standing before him, and for all the lost souls seeking refuge from the storm. Over the next few days, a delicate dance unfolded between the two women. Elara, burdened by grief and the weight of unanswered questions, found solace in the quiet rhythm of life at the cabin. She chopped wood, tended the garden, and listened to the stories the old woman shared, tales woven from the fabric of the land and the echoes of generations past.